Good evening. My name is Wendy Mans, and I am a member of the Special Permit Residential Development Ad Hoc Zoning Committee. Our committee was formed by the Select Board in 2018 in response to an initiative from the 2018 town meeting. And our mission has been to look at Lexington's zoning bylaw to see if changes could be made that would be more successful in encouraging smaller and more affordable housing units in Lexington. There is a great need for housing, both in Lexington and across the Commonwealth. In Lexington, current zoning rules and market incentives have led to the construction of very large homes on single lots in conventional subdivisions. Since 2008, our SPRD bylaw has produced exactly 6 units of affordable housing, and every time another subdivision is built, we lose another opportunity. To give you an idea of the gap between what would be affordable and what is possible in Lexington, a family making 80% of the area median income for a family of 4 would be earning $112,150. To finance an average size home in Lexington, a family would need no less than $281,500, more than twice as much. The same is true for rentals. An affordable rental for a 3-bedroom home would be $2,154, and the rent for a 3-bedroom home in Lexington currently is $4,000 or more. This is a slide showing incomes, average incomes for the very people that we would like to encourage to come and stay in Lexington. These are the people who support and sustain our community. The town employees who keep it running, the firefighters, the teachers, the managers at every level. And as you see from these income averages, even at the very highest level, that is the middle managers who are shown at the bottom of this slide, the income, even in a family with 2 incomes, would be insufficient to finance a home in Lexington. So the need for a change is obvious. The special permit residential development portion of the bylaw was created in 2008 and was intended to provide an alternative to the subdivisions of large single-family homes that may be built by right and so predominate in Lexington. Despite our good intentions, and I was part of those good intentions all those years ago, the SPRD bylaw hasn't yielded much diversity in housing, as indicated by the 6 units over 15 years. It has always been evident, and it continues to be evident, that unless we can create models that are economically feasible and attractive to the private builders that we depend on to build our housing subdivisions, they will default to the large single-family homes, which are buildable by right, but are inherently less sustainable and certainly less affordable to households. So our committee's work has been an attempt to fine-tune the SPRD section of the bylaw in the light of the last 15 years' experience and to respond to the community's continuing desire, as stated in our comprehensive plan, Lexington Next, to encourage smaller, more varied, and more inclusive housing in town. We started with a statement of values, and you see a capsule of it here. We seek greater diversity in housing to meet the needs of families and individuals of different circumstances. New homes that we anticipate will be built under these models will be built to sustainable standards and respect the town's expectation of quality design. So here's a list of our basic goals as we work. The first goal is the overarching goal, to create attractive alternatives to building a conventional subdivision. Within that goal, we're looking for smaller, more affordable and sustainable homes. Accessible design suitable for persons of different abilities. Designs and siding conducive to neighborhoods. Of course, an increase in the number of affordable homes to meet our subsidized housing inventory obligations and our workforce housing needs. And finally, a zoning process that is clear, predictable, and time certain. Here are a couple of examples. In order to find a way to find smaller affordable units, we have looked at the possibility of including more than one housing unit in a building. And you'll see some examples of this kind of building. On the left, a duplex, and on the right, a fourplex. And here another example. These are single-family homes built to the smaller standard. This is Riverwalk in Concord. A couple of definitions to consider as you go forward. The amount of building that can occur on a parcel is determined by the initial proof plan submitted under our zoning bylaw that determines the gross floor area that is buildable. Gross floor area in housing units includes basements, habitable attics, half stories, porches, and garages. Living area, as we've noted, is significantly less than GFA, generally around 80%, depending on the housing design. We would maintain the perimeter setbacks, the same standards as exist now in conventional subdivisions. But unit gross floor area will be limited by three factors: the maximum average size of units, the maximum allowed unit size, that is for the very largest unit in the project, and the maximum building size. There would be no individual unit lot size required in these new models. So here is a summary of our recommendations. We look to update our current site-sensitive development model. We look to replace the balanced housing development model and the public benefit development model with a new model, compact neighborhood development. For both site-sensitive developments and compact neighborhood developments, we would require a percentage of inclusionary, that is affordable housing, requirement that is not currently in the bylaw. And we would use site plan review rather than the special permit process for approval of these projects. Here's an expansion of our first model, the updated site-sensitive residential development. Currently, site-sensitive residential developments permit only single-family homes and have no inclusionary requirement. We would look to support permitting a variety of housing types in these developments, whether attached or detached, or single-family, with no minimum lot size. Starting with the permitted GFA under the proof plan, we would add 15% of GFA to be designated for affordable housing, and an additional 15% GFA of market rate units as a density bonus to builders to help defray the cost of providing the affordable units. And for developments of 6 units or fewer, there would be an allowed possibility of a payment in lieu into the housing trust rather than building the unit. Our second model is the compact neighborhood development. Again, in this development, we would permit a variety of home types, whether attached or multifamily or single family. We would add to the allowed GFA 15% to be specifically affordable housing, then add an additional 15% GFA as a density bonus. And then the most salient characteristic of these developments would be that the maximum size of a single family home would be limited to 2,800 square feet. And the average size of units would not exceed 2,250 square feet. So you can see that this would produce houses that are considerably smaller than those that we are seeing today. And again, in this model, payments in lieu would be permitted for developments of 6 units or fewer. This is just an example to give you an idea of the size of housing we're considering. These are not specific to Lexington or particular proposals, but the picture on the left is a house of 2,800 square feet. That on the left is 1,780 square feet, a condominium. And we point out that the living area would be smaller than the GFA shown. This is an example of what could be built under our compact neighborhood model. You may be familiar with the recent Lily Pond Lane development that has been built in recent years and yielded 21 units with one moderately priced house. This is the same plot of land sketched out under the new model, where it would permit 47 townhouse units in 13 structures. And of course, there would be a 15% inclusionary requirement. And it shows how readily an attractive subdivision can be designed with greater density and more and smaller units. Looking at the inclusionary housing requirement of 15%, of that 15%, 2/3 should be affordable to households earning less than 80% of the area median income, which is the lower range of affordability. And it would allow those units to be included in our subsidized housing inventory. Developments of fewer than 6 homes would provide payments in lieu rather than building, or could, rather than building those units. And the payment in lieu would be calculated based on project construction cost per square foot, so that a developer would be paying what it would cost him or her to build 15% affordable units. That amount would be paid into the housing trust. The project review process would be by site plan review. If a project is submitted to the planning board that meets the stated dimensional and other requirements of the bylaw, it is approved by right, subject to planning board review and conditions. This gives an assurance, unlike the special permit process, which has been a little more indefinite and has taken longer. This would be more economical, more expeditious, have more sure outcome, and yet permit the same review of specific conditions that the planning board has always reviewed in these cases. We feel that because of the lesser time and expense involved, it would be an attractive incentive to developers to use these models. The committee is bringing forward our proposal for these zoning modifications at the same time that the planning board is bringing forward its MBTA multifamily zoning proposal. And we're coming forward with both of them at once because we feel that they are puzzle pieces, two puzzle pieces in a comprehensive zoning approach, and that they don't actually cover the same ground, as it were. The MBTA would be for designated parcels across town with an anticipated possibility of considerably greater density. This proposal would apply to any parcel that a developer chose to build, that was eligible to build a subdivision on, but would provide a model for that subdivision so that it would not necessarily be a conventional single-family home on large lot subdivision. The chart that you see here is in your materials for you to examine later. We don't need to go over it here, but it simply gives a comparison of the different models. Since we began meeting in 2018, the SPRD committee has heard from real estate professionals, local builders, housing advocates, real estate attorneys, many Lexington residents. We have worked to balance the concerns of the different constituencies to find a viable path to more affordable housing in Lexington. We have sought to find the sweet spot in development models that would yield sufficient profit to builders, but would still give the town more of the housing it wants and needs. We believe that these proposals are a substantial step in this direction, and we urge you to approve warrant